You know that shitty ex-boyfriend that comes back like 8 years later and says, I finally got my shit together, I'm emotionally stable, and have basic control over my emotions and psychology. That is what Adobe has done, only I never had the balls to leave to begin with. In the new 25.5 update for Adobe Premiere Pro, they have acquired Film Impact. I guess Film Impact made a really cool plugin that had a bunch of stuff. Adobe bought them because Adobe, of course, isn't going to add basic effects like a stroke or a rounded crop or fix their basic functionality problems and bugs. They're going to find someone else who does it and then buy them. But you know what? I'm happy because we still get the result at the end of the day. The new Film Impact update has over 90 new effects and transitions recently acquired from Film Impact, making them free for Premiere Pro subscribers, and they are GPU accelerated. This thing right here, that means it uses your graphics card because it's super fast. Some of these include customizable light leaks, glows, blurs, and animation presets, along with the Surprise Me button for a random effect variation. And now we are going to take a look at it at this timeline of random crap I have made. They have very nice transitions, you know, some basic blurs, but things Adobe didn't have. Light leak transitions, really cool. I don't remember what this one is, but if you press the Surprise Me button, it kind of, you know, changes the effect around and, you know, comes up with a random result. And it's a very nice way to get some inspiration. They have some cool grungy effects. This one I really like, the plateau wipe. The grunge transition. And we have finally a good glitch transition. You know, zoom blurs and what is this one? Light leak transitions. We have volumetric glows, light rays, all sorts of stuff. But first, I'll start off with the big heavy hitters, ladies and gentlemen. After what feels like centuries of waiting, we finally have a freaking stroke. Look at this, watch this, boom, a stroke, I'm having a stroke, talking about the stroke, I want to stroke it, talking about the stroke, we have a freaking stroke! Things that caveman figured out, okay, I bet MS Paint from 300 BC was capable of a stroke, but we do finally have a stroke. We can put strokes on our PNGs, we can colorize them, you know, it can do this, which is kind of weird, kind of like a bevel or something, but yes! We have a stroke, everybody. A very customizable stroke, and of course you can hit the Surprise Me to generate a variety of results. Another thing we have is a circle crop, or a round crop, which we used to have, but Adobe took from it because, you can do it with masking, it's the same with but even though it's a billion times harder, we have a freaking circle crop. Gorgeous, amazing news. Look, a rounded crop, we can turn it into a circle by turning the roundness all the way up. And look at this. Boom. So, wait. Circle. Yes, a freaking circle crop, ladies and gentlemen. Amongst a bunch of other effects, this is me doing my daily morning ritual routine. It's for self-improvement. You want to get it. Now, if we look at this, I'm going to show you some of the nice new effects we got. Actually, I'm GNG's editor, by the way, if you guys didn't know. Let's pull this image up of him that I just had on hand and test out some of these new effects. But first, in order to get the new update, download or update to Premiere 25.5, go up to here, go up to Windows, go up to Extensions, and hit the Film Impact dashboard. It's going to pop up on your screen, and you're going to put it where you want. In my case, I'm going to put it here. Now, we have finally a good chromatic aberration effect that is a proper horizontal, vertical split. Lots of customizability options here. You can even feather it. There's a lot of very nice things you can do. You can change the lightness. You can soften it. Lots of really cool things. And of course, you can hit the Surprise Me to generate a wide variety of results. Now, the default chromatic aberration absolutely suck. Is this VR chromatic aberrations? This is what we had, and it is uneven. It's like spherized, so it's not even on the board, and it adds this really weird warping. See, it like warps on the edge of the screen and really stretches it out. Just not a very good effect. But now we have a good one. Of course, Adobe wouldn't make it themselves. They bought someone else who did. Hey, but at least we have the result. Now we have volumetric light rays, which are very pretty. And all this is GPU accelerated, guys. So this is running absolutely buttery freaking smooth. Normally, you know, to get a similar effect to this, I'd have to get the Sapphire plugin, which costs a ton of money. And it would be all in red, CPU rendered only, super laggy, clippy, would crash the program, would crash during renders. But now we have this. So let's hit the Surprise Me, and we can, you know, change this up for a wide variety of fun results. By the way, almost all the new effects have this chromatic aberration, so you can add like a RGB distortion or glitch or whatever, chromatic aberration, to almost everything, and it's quite nice. We also have this Wonder Glow, which is similar to the VR Glow in Premiere Pro, but a lot nicer, a lot more customizability. Just very pretty. We have, let me delete that. We have light leaks, which are animated as well. And so if we hit Surprise Me, it can come up with different results. And you can't really see here too much, but they do shift. They are animated. You can switch between full spectrum colors, duo spectra colors. If we change the speed, it'll shift a lot quicker. And now you can see a lot more clearly that it is animated. We also have a focus blur, which is really nice. Let me nest this because this image is zoomed up. Traditionally, to get like a cool like camera blur, you'd have to get a Gaussian blur like what you see here at the edge and mask it like this and feather it to, make it mask just at the edges. But you can see the way the Gaussian blur works is it just kind of smears it. The way this new one works, the focus blur, which you can find through here, the Film Impact dashboard, and you can also search it in your effects. So if I search at focus blur, you can find it here. It blurs, as you can see, it's a lot different. It's much more like a real camera blur. It like warps it and distorts it, and it blurs more depending on how close it is to the image. It's not blurring everything and then feathering it. Really cool. And of course, if we check this out, we have chromatic aberration, which is very cool. We can change the width here, the height. You can change the gain of the blurred areas, which isn't too noticeable in this image. And of course, hit Surprise Me for a variety of different blurs. So super cool effect. I already made one combining the blur and the glow together. Makes this nice little effect. Just a pretty nice full volumetric glow. Very premium looking. About time we got some solid default transitions and effects from Adobe. I'm going to give you one example transitioning from this clip to this clip here. This is the default Premiere Pro whip transition. It's just kind of, it works, but it's smeary, just not very pretty. Now let's duplicate this. Make sure that's lined up. Delete this. And let's put on the Film Impact push transition. I already have a preset of this one I like, but I'm going to make it by hand to just show you. Now, already, this is a little better. It's not nearly as smeary and crap. Let's make this a little longer. Now, look at this. This is something I love. Almost all of their animated presets, I'm pretty sure all of them have this visual curve editor. And we know the default Premiere Pro Bezier graph editor, it kind of sucks, like you can't lock something on a horizontal plane. But this, you can. You can adjust the ease in. You can adjust the ease out. I always like to put a lot of ease out on my animations. So let's make this a little longer. Look at that. You can make it overshoot or anticipate, so you can add a bit of a bounce to it. So if we hide this underneath, you'll be able to see that, see how it bounces. Just absolutely fantastic. But I'm gonna undo that. We can change the direction, we can make it a slide in rather than, like pushing the whole thing. We can just make it a slide. We can change, give it some stutter distortion. We can add chromatic aberration. I'm just a sucker for chromatic aberration. We can change the amount of stretch. And now, look at that. Just so much more premium than this. If we stretch this, this is just, ew, ugly. And you can save these as presets. I have a preset right here, the FL whip push stretchy RGB. And it's nice and fast. It saves the length. And the nice thing is, too, normally, if you have like custom curve animations, if you want to adjust this transition, you would have to make a transition A, transition B, 2 different presets. If you want to adjust the timing, you got to go in, you got to slide the keyframes farther back for transition A, push them at the end keyframes farther ahead for part B, transition B. But this, you can just stretch it and it keeps your curve and your animation. It keeps your timing, which is super nice and is going to be an absolute game changer. Another really cool transition, let's look at this gorgeous image here. Not technically a transition, but as you can see here, I have a cut and then it's more scaled in. Now, normally if I was going to do this, I would have it like this. I would keyframe it. I'd jump forward a few frames. I'd scale in, but oh, I have no motion blur. So you have to do that with the transform effect instead. You got to go in here, You got to adjust your curves, and it doesn't let you animate multiple curve properties simultaneously, so I can't move them both at the same time. Can only move one. And the Premiere Pro Curve Editor, it kind of sucks. That's a lot of steps right there. Now, if I undo all that, and we go back to just this cut, there is a really cool effect, transition in here called Motion Tween. And it's a transition technically, but the way it works is it tries to like interpolate. You can kind of see it work in slow motion here. In between, it animates almost. So if you do a lot of PNG animations or zoom ins and zoom outs, you could make a bunch of different animations of this effect and save them as presets. Now, you can see how it's kind of cropping in because the second part's zoomed in, the first part isn't, so it's like adding that black bar. We can fix that by going up here and clicking Recover Out of Screen Image Data. Boom. Now look at this. It animates the zoom automatically. And then we can adjust that animation. We can add a lot more ease out. We can add a really big overshoot, so it's a nice big bounce. And look at that. Now let's reset this overshoot. And you can animate all these properties, by the way, I'll add. You can keyframe the amount of ease and all of that. So absolutely super cool. Let's add even more ease out. Just have that a little. Whew. And the nice thing is too, this has motion blur. You can add more motion blur to it. We can turn this up here. Look at that. Now way more blurry. So now instead of having like a transform effect and putting it on an adjustment layer, you can just have your PNGs, like your different PNG poses and stills, and just use this effect to automatically animate them. And you can keep your curvature and everything and just change the speed by adjusting the length of the transition. So you could copy this and just paste it on all your different cuts in between your different poses for your images and just adjust the timing to give it a little bit of variation, and it's going to look very premium. So this effect here in particular, super cool to me, is going to be an absolute game changer. Some of the transitions we have are really badass. In particular, the grunge transition here, I really like. And of course, we can go here, we can click Surprise Me, get a very wide variety of different types of transitions. The glitch, we finally have a really good glitch. We can click that and hit Surprise Me, get a bunch of different variations. Let's check out that one. So we finally have some really good premium default transitions. Super freaking cool, dude. A beautiful lens flare, which we can go here and, you know, surprise me, bang, bang, bang. Bunch of different types of visuals, so it really helps just kind of stir the brain and get some ideas. Now I'll show another few things we have. In this nested sequence, I have this text here, and it's off to the side. Let's see, I'm curious if this will work if I duplicate it, and I add multiple layers of text. Shrink this one. There is now a tool. First, there's a cool typewriter effect. We can add that, and it's going to type everything out, so that's cool. If you put a lot of effects, I've noticed the transition, because this is technically a transition, it does not always work when you have a lot of effects like glows or shadows or stuff, so you probably would want to do this animation, nest it, and do your effects after. Just a quick tip for you guys. We have a bunch of presets in here which you can apply to graphics, images, anything, and you know, just makes a really cool animation. Like, look at that. And just one click, and of course you can modify, you can randomize it, you can go in here and surprise me, and just get tons of different variations. So super awesome. Now notice how this text kind of all over the place. It isn't aligned. We're gonna go over here to the tools, and there's something called auto align effect. If you hit that, bang. It's gonna, oh, maybe not. I haven't really tried this much, this auto align effect, and it's gonna try and center everything. So I think if we delete these other two, now look at that. It auto aligns this to the center. So I guess it doesn't work too well with multiple lines of text, but if we have one and it's like off to wherever and we hit auto align, boom, it centers it for us. But because this is off screen, you know, it's gonna have that cut. But just a cool little thing. I tend to align stuff myself like this, but cool little thing. We have a very interesting, they added a shadow effect. Oh, there's also a clone effect, by the way, which kind of infinitely duplicates whatever you put it on, so you can change the amount of clones, you can change the scaling, the spacing, and it's very interesting. So yeah, that's another cool thing. let's go ahead and put in this long shadow. This is a very cool effect. It is, you'd think, oh, it's just a drop shadow, but let's increase this length and zoom up here. See what's going on here? It is adding like a, I don't know what it is, but it like takes the corners and adds a bit of color in there and makes it darker down here. It almost makes it look 3D, a very cool effect. Let's actually stay zoomed up in here and mess with this. So we can change the alpha fall off, so have it like fade out. You know, we could hide the source, we can extrude it instead so it pushes to the front instead of to the back, like so. Now there's color rise. If we turn that up, it adds more color. If we turn that down, I should say, it adds more color. So now this looks almost like 3D, very cool. And I will tell you, you can animate the angle and the length and everything and come up with some very interesting, fun effects and just give things a much more lively look. Of course, you can change the shadow color like so, and the duo amount, so that I think the duo is the color it puts in the back. So say we set this to like a bluish, what is that going to do? That is a very interesting, kind of aesthetically pleasing, and we can, you know, turn this down and it like makes a gradient out of it. So let's make this a lot darker. Look at that. How cool is that, guys? This is, I'm sorry, this is just fun. This is awesome. And now that looks quite pretty with this little palette here. So let's go ahead and randomize that and just come up with something interesting. Honestly, I kind of like this one here. And if we, you know, slap an adjustment layer on here and we combine that with some other effects, we can get some really cool stuff going. So I have a preset here, film impact, nice blur and glow. We can pop that on there. That makes it a little more poppier. Let's add a stroke to that text. Look at that. Isn't that cool? We finally have a stroke, guys. We finally did it. And maybe colorize the stroke a little bit. So now what we're capable of doing with our graphics has seriously leveled up now. Let's turn that duo amount and kind of add some color into that stroke. Yeah, this is very interesting. Now you can put an echo glow on and it's gonna like take your highlights and you know, echo it and make it stick out, so you can come up with some really wacky effects with that, as you can see. We have an edge glow, which pretty self-explanatory. Let's put the volumetric rays on this. Look at that. Look at how much that sticks out. Let's make that a little longer, turn that intensity down. You know, change the position of the light. This is just what we've got going on here. This is just freaking badass, man. And of course, we can hit surprise me and come up with random results. But let's get rid of that, the edge glow. And let's go down to animation and just put a little pop on it. Boom, adds a nice little preset for us right away. Let's delete that one. I'll also tell you, there is a text animator. I'm curious if it'll work with all this, all these effects, but let's just type this out. Let's center this, align it. Let's shrink this font a little bit. So now these effects are a little intense, but I'm gonna leave this. There's this text animator here, which works as a transition. If we pop that on here, oh no, that's the adjustment layer, excuse me. If we pop that on the text here, it's animating it all as one, which tells me it's not going to work with all these effects. So maybe we gotta delete these. Bang. And now it's gonna work. What's doing it? Is it the long shadow? Yeah, the long shadow's messing with it. But how this text animator works, it detects the spaces and then it animates each word separately, which is kind of interesting. So it kind of can automatically animate it, which is really cool. Now, if we click on it, on the text animator effect, we can modify it, different presets. Let's do a natural scale. What does that look like? Just scales everything up. So nice little preset. We can adjust the, you know, maybe I want a lot more ease out, a little bit of ease in. See, that's pretty. So another super cool thing. The shape flow, I have trouble understanding it. Very weird effect. It seems to like try and follow like shapes in your, and then transition them. Not quite sure how it works. but it seems to basically be like it masks in and tries to follow along the shape of whatever you're doing. Don't fully understand it. Motion camera is a cool transition. I don't know why it's in the smart tool section. It just seems to be a transition. So I'll put it here, for example, and we'll slap that on there. Bang. And it adds a really cool zoom out. Look at that. Super smooth. And if we hit surprise me on this one, the effects can be kind of crazy. But yeah, very interesting. You know, if we put that on here, it's going to have a really cool... Very fancy. Last thing I'll mention is the molt and unmolt. Up here in the essential is the alpha effect, and first it goes automatically. You can probably make some pretty creepy, uncanny horror effects with this. But I think there's a way to do this with old Premiere Pro effects, but it tries to select your darkest frequencies first and then your lightest frequencies. So if you set this to unmolt light, it's going to pick the brightest parts first and try and cut out accordingly. We can say... And I've used this a few times. If you have like a stock photo with a plain white background or something, you can use this pretty well to remove a subject from its background or make some very interesting custom transitions. You know, they have a mosaic, which lots of things have, but you know, if you hit surprise me, there's a wide variety of things you can do with this. It's a much more interesting mosaic than, you know, the old Legacy. Oh, is that a Lego block one that I just saw? That's cool. So you can come with a bunch of very interesting effects with this, especially combining a lot of them. You know, a blur with chromatic aberration. Fantastic. Look at that. Pretty, and you can change the angle. Just absolutely cool, guys. I'm loving this update. You know, we have a VHS damage transition, which is super badass. And the liquid distortion one, which is pretty wacky. Flicker, and it's very easy, just drag and drop, and you can preset all of these. That's pretty intense. There's also a pretty good camera shake. You can apply this and you know, adds a very natural handheld camera shake. Let's just put it on this, for example. I feel like this will do it better. It adds a very natural handheld camera shake look, and this is all customizable, so we can now finally start a shake and animate it to become more intense. What I used to have to do is have a super intense shake, slap it on an adjustment layer, and just fade in the opacity. But this now, it's not faking the illusion of a shake getting more intense. It is actually doing it. So they have a bunch of different presets. Earthquake, and unfortunately it does zoom in a lot to you know, account for all that space on the side. I haven't... Oh, auto scale. Oh, there we go. If I turn that off, there you go. So a bunch of really cool... and you can change the strafe, the side to side, the stride, which is up, down, etc. You can turn the speed up, so it's going to shake a lot more. So very nice, smooth camera shakes, finally. There's a spacer. This works for text. And some of these just seem like really simple, like, oh, well, I could do this with the... you know, regular default motion. But the nice thing about using these is that if you do it this way, you have this super nice, you know, Bezier curve, and you can save this as a preset and put it on pretty much everything, and it's going to be the same, regardless of scale. Anyways, that's it for this video, fellas. If you want to get good at video editing like me, go to freelancefreedom.org. That's my course. I'm about to revamp the whole thing, start to finish. It's going to be premium. It's going to be premium. It's going to be awesome. Full 14-day money-back guarantee if you want more value. Subscribe to the channel, blah, 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 something. I'll see you. Bye. Love you.